Hey people, welcome to the Run Test. It's Kieran here and I'm about to go and do a first run in the Hylo RUN. Now this is a part bio-based, part recyclable, vegan running shoe. It's got a P-Bax midsole. It's got a 9.5mm drop. It's bright yellow. I'm off to see how it matches up to more regular, standard, traditional running shoes. See if this one is any good. Let's go and take it for a spin and find out. So I'm 2.5 miles into my first run in the Hylo RUN, and I thought I'd just have a few early thoughts, early impressions. First things are, these shoes, they're quite snug fitting. I had to loosen off the laces quite a lot, and it was a little bit of a struggle to get the tongues to sit in the right place under the laces, so a little bit of fiddling, more so than some of the shoes that I've put on. But once the foot's in, they hold the foot nice and snug. They have got a pretty tight wrapped fit from the uppers, just about enough room in the toe box, not a huge amount of room in the toe box. And then overall, when you first get running, what you notice the first thing is how firm they are. That midsole, that P-Bax midsole, is really kind of quite rigid. It's quite firm. And yeah, if you're expecting something a bit kind of springy and bouncy, you're not going to get that. This is the kind of shoe over those first 2 miles that I've run that feels like you've basically got to lift your feet quite quickly. You've got to get to a high turnover. There's not really that much protection to soak up any of the kind of impact. So it kind of encourages you to do that, which is not necessarily a terrible thing. You know, you're encouraged to get up on a sort of quicker footstep, but yeah, just 2.5 miles in, it's noticeably firmer than any of the shoes I've run in very recently. It really bucks the trend for those kind of super cushion shoes. Having said that, that's not that dissimilar to a lot of the other bio-based running shoes you've got for the likes of Veja, from Allbirds. Those kind of foams that you've got, the sugarcane based foams, always come up are much firmer than some of the plastic based foams that we sort of know and love. So you're going to make a trade-off here like that, and I think basically even in 2.5 miles in, I know that, you know, if you don't like a firm shoe, you're not going to like these. I quite do like a firm shoe, still finding them a little bit firm, but yeah, going to go give them some more miles and see how we get on when I clip up the pace. So I'm about to go and do a few more miles along this river path along the Thames here. It's kind of compacted and stony. We'll see how we get on. It's a beautiful sunny day and I'm enjoying my miles so far, so let's go and see what else the Hylo has to offer. So my first run test of the Hylo RUN is done. I've just spent 90 minutes and about 10 miles running in the shoe. Done a mixture of terrain, so I did a bit of road, bit of compacted river paths, back onto the road at the end. And like most bio-based shoes that I've run in, the distinct kind of feeling of this is a shoe that's very firm. I enjoyed it actually towards the end, and I think when you're rolling at a kind of fairly high clip, where you've got fast foot turnover, where you're not kind of landing with too much impact, you know, your light footsteps very quick, then I feel like it's pretty good, it's pretty solid. The uppers are relatively comfortable. It's not the most comfortable shoe that I've ever felt on the foot, but they do wrap and hug the foot quite nicely. They hold in place really well. I did have a little bit of sort of tightness across that kind of the bottom section of the lacing, you know, that mid-foot where it just goes into the toes, a little bit on, you know, on the big toe bone, basically, on that big toe knuckle, little bit of pinching there. So I don't know whether I'd recommend going half a size up. They might get too long. They are a light shoe. I think you've basically got the 20mm stack, and the combination of EVA and P-Bax is probably balanced a little bit too much to the EVA side. And you don't really feel that kind of big spring from the P-Bax that you might get in other shoes that have got more of it. It's still a firmly kind of quite hard EVA shoe. So there's not enormous amounts of cushioning here. There's not an enormous amount of protection. You're going to feel a lot of ground contact. It's very direct. Somewhat kind of helped a little bit with that kind of 9.5mm drop, which I think is a little bit more forgiving on the calves, but overall, yeah, and you're not going to get a lot of protection for the feet here, and this would be a shoe that I think I would use for shorter runs rather than longer runs because of that. A few other things that I think it has in its favour: this is a very stable shoe to run on, partly because of that firmness, but it's a good platform to run. It's not as wide as some kind of shoes that you might consider in this sort of, if this is a daily trainer, you know, it's kind of more slimline, a bit more narrow. it reminds me a little bit of the Arc'teryx kind of Norvan. I think that's a shoe, it's a trail shoe actually, but it has that sort of similar kind of feel where yeah, you're not going to want to put this on to run in it every day, I don't think. I wouldn't put it into the class of a daily training, but if you were doing a fairly low mileage week where most of those runs are, you know, pretty easy to kind of mid-pace, then I think you'll probably get away with this as a shoe like that. It feels very durable. I think it's kind of built to last. I think it's a really nice looking shoe. I feel it's agile, it's fairly kind of nimble. It just doesn't really have any of the punch and propulsion that we've come to expect from a lot of daily trainers now. And yeah, I think in context of where other shoes are going and what I get a sense of how people sort of tend to sort of state their preferences in our comments on the channel, I do feel like a lot of people are not going to enjoy this because it's too firm. But if you like a really firm direct shoe that's got a bit of a lower stack, then fill your boots with this. I think this is going to fit that bill. So my first run verdict on the Hylo RUN then, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. These are a shoe I think that are okay. They're not world beating. I think they're a shoe that has a very distinct ride. It's firm. If you're looking for a cushioned daily trainer for kind of those short to middle distances, this is not it. And I think, you know, as ever with a lot of the bio-based, or I guess the shoes that are claiming to be more eco-friendly with bio-based materials, you're making a bit of a trade-off here. The foam isn't as soft, it isn't as responsive, it's not as protective as you'll find from those kind of regular plastic-based or petroleum-based foams that we've got. And yeah, I think you're going to have to be in the market for this kind of ride that's more direct, there's more ground contact, there's kind of less spring, there's less propulsion. It's a bit more of an old school kind of traditional feeling shoe. That said, I think it's done an okay job. Over the 10 miles, I've quite enjoyed running in it, but I like a firm shoe. I think a lot of runners won't like it though, based on what I've just said. I think most people nowadays, looking at the trends, go for something that's a bit more cushioned, a bit more springy, and a bit more protective in terms of the overall impact. But if you put this in the context of the other shoes that are made with eco-friendly credentials or bio-based materials, I think this is one of the best shoes that I've run in that kind of fits that bill. If you're talking about it as a performance shoe out and out, there are many other kind of daily trainers that I would pick over and above this. So there you have it. That's been my first run test of the Hylo RUN. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions about this shoe, want to know anything else that I've missed out, any of the details, hit me up in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell. We've got more shoe reviews coming up on the channel. In the meantime, if you're interested in more sustainable shoes, then check out our sustainable playlist that's up here about now to see some of the other shoes in this bracket that we've reviewed. And yeah, as ever, thanks for watching the Run Testers, and we hope to see you again soon on the channel. Bye for now.